I've been noticing something online lately that I really can't unsee. A lot of the content advice, Instagram advice specifically, that's floating around right now, it sounds really good. Like it feels right when you hear it. It sounds so simple and easy to do. Post more, use this hook, follow this content plan, use this template, hop on trends while they're hot. And I get why it sticks because it's clean, it's simple, it fits neatly into a Canva graphic or like one of those 3-second reels everyone tells you should be doing. But the more I've been doing this, the more suspicious I get of advice that can fit that neatly. In today's episode, I want to talk through some of the content advice that I would personally ignore the hell out of in 2026, and more importantly, why it keeps circulating even when it's not actually working for a lot of businesses. And just a quick disclaimer before we get into it, this is very much generally speaking. There are always exceptions. There are always businesses where some of this absolutely works, but I know a lot of us are very short on time. We're already spending a lot of time on our content marketing and being frustrated that maybe it's not leading anywhere or getting us as many clients as we want. So if you feel like you've been doing all the right things and your content just isn't doing anything, this might explain why. Welcome to From Content to Clients. I'm your host, Sydney O'Brien, and this show is for hello, and welcome back to From Content to Clients. Okay, I just want to say this episode is not anti-marketing advice. It's more me being a little skeptical of overly simplified marketing advice, which is rampant on the internet, right? Social media is where nuance and context goes to die, and that does not change when it comes to marketing advice. Because what I've seen is the internet the algorithms really don't reward accuracy. It rewards clarity in 5 seconds or less. And those are not always the same thing, right? We're all scrolling quickly. We're doom scrolling. We're half paying attention while we're in line at the grocery store, waiting for soccer practice to end, trying to respond to emails. We're not really in the mindset of, oh, let me pay close attention to this and do a deep dive into this information. So, of course, the posts that work and get attention are going to be the content that has very simple fixes that people want because they want them to work. So the advice that spreads is advice that can be understood instantly and easily. But the problem is your business is not something that can be solved in 5 seconds. Unfortunately, as much as I know we all wish that were true, it is just not the case. A few years ago, a lot of this advice worked better because the environment was different, right? The algorithm was different. There was more reach. It used to be on Instagram that when you first posted something, it was shown to 10% of your followers, right? And then based on that, the algorithm decided, whether it would show it to more or not so much. Now it's only shown to 3%, which is absolutely insane. It's so few people. We're also seeing lower engagement rates. We're seeing more competition now. So a few years ago, you could follow a pretty general strategy and still get some pretty good results. But now everything is more saturated. It's much more competitive. The algorithm is so much less forgiving, which means vague advice doesn't just become unhelpful. It actually can become expensive because you're spending time implementing these things that don't actually end up getting you clients, but it feels like you're doing something right? Especially if you're getting some of those vanity metrics from it by using that hook or hopping on that trend. Maybe you're getting some more views or a longer watch time or some more comments, but if it's not leading to clients, it's not the best advice for your business. And that is the part that people don't talk about enough because there's so much more to marketing than just trying to hack the algorithm. You probably feel like you're doing all the things you're supposed to be doing because that's what's being told to you online, because that's what works for their account, right? When they share that information, it gets the saves, it gets the shares, it gets the comments because it's simple and easy to do. So they keep posting that advice because it's working for them, but it doesn't work for you. So here's the advice I would absolutely ignore, especially going into the summer months when a lot of us, our schedules and routines are going to be different with kids out of school. So number one, the one I always hate to see, posting every day. This is the obvious one. And again, there are businesses where this works. If you have everything else lined up, you have your messaging, your audience, you have your buyer journey mapped out in your content, you have the time and mental capacity to do this and it's working for you, go for it. Absolutely. But if you feel like you have to post every day and it's not leading anywhere, or you don't have those other things I mentioned, don't do it. It's not necessary. It's not going to magically lead to more followers or clients or anything, and it's not a strategy. Oftentimes, when you have this pressure to post every day, it's rushed, you feel disconnected, it doesn't follow a content plan that has the buyer journey like aligned with it, and you just kind of burn out and get more frustrated than ever that you're putting more time into your content trying to post more, but it's not working. Another thing that happens when people try to post every day is they rely on tools like ChatGPT or Claude, and it just gives really bad posts. Like you can check it off your to-do list for sure, but AI doesn't have that like depth and understanding of your audience and their needs that you do. There is no amount of research that you can ask AI to do that will understand it the way you do. So the question really isn't like, am I posting enough? It's, does anything I post actually help anyone understand what I do and why they should hire me? Does it resonate with my audience? Does it follow the buyer journey? These are the things you need to be asking instead of just focusing on frequency. And number 2 is very similar. Emails, same category. I keep seeing online more emails equals more sales. I don't know about you, but me and everyone I talk to are very overwhelmed, and more emails in our inboxes doesn't make us want to spend more money. It doesn't. And for you, as the person writing the emails, it's the same thing with creating content. It's going to be more quantity and less quality because we're already so busy and so tired and so exhausted. Or we're going to rely on those tools like AI that are just going to increase the distrust and skepticism within our audiences that we're already seeing and feeling when it comes to getting more clients. But again, this is all generally speaking. If you are someone who has a team, has a copywriter, knows your audience, has the time to do this, and it's working for you, go for it. But again, the people that I talk to about this, who are in my audience and my clients and seeing what their audiences react to, talking to the people in my membership, no one's reading a bunch of these emails. So it's kind of just wasted time on the person that is writing them. We're all so busy, we don't have the time. And seeing like an overloaded inbox can be so overwhelming. I would rather someone send 1 or 2 emails a week that actually say something and land with an audience than sending an email every day in the hopes that it gets you a sale. Advice number 3, those what to post posts. Generally speaking, you can get some good ideas if you need it. Some prompts for a post. If you already, I know you've heard me say it so many times, but it's so, so important. If you already know your audience, your specific target audience and what they need to hear, you already have your buyer journey mapped out and you know what you should be focusing on, what your goal is with that specific post. It's fine to use a prompt like that to kind of get your creative juices flowing. Completely understand that. If there's like a hook that's working well or a trend that's working well that fits in with those other things I mentioned, absolutely go for it. But if like some social media management company or like expert is saying, here's what to post in June, and you're just following that with no other strategy behind it, that's a tactic. That's not a strategy. And the tactics aren't going to work without the strategy behind it. So on its own, very unhelpful. And it's kind of like using AI or just endlessly hopping on trends because it feels productive because you're able to check social media like off your to-do list faster, right? And of course we want that. But if it's not specific to your whatever promotional like campaign you're working on or your audience and what they need to hear at this time, it's not helpful at all. Then you're just posting to post and it's not actually leading your clients anywhere, your audience to being clients, unfortunately. Now, don't get me wrong. I love content plans. I love having a plan. I love creating plans for people. It's one of my favorite offers, but it's very audience and business specific. There's never going to be one content calendar that works for everyone. Number 4, very similar, chasing trends. It's kind of tricky because trends can work, but I think the issue is when trends turn into a strategy instead of a tool. Yes, trends might get attention, but attention without that clarity, that underlying foundation of knowing your audience, knowing the buyer journey, knowing what that post, that day, that week is supposed to be focusing on to follow that buyer journey, it's kind of useless, right? Because if you don't know your audience and you're not following the trend with that content being specifically for them, your trend is going to go, if it gets attention, it's very likely that it's going to get attention from people that aren't actually going to end up buying from you, which is useless. Or if it's not, if you're on a certain step of your buyer journey and you post about a completely different thing that doesn't help them get to the next step closer towards buying with you, it doesn't actually help, right? And again, it can be really fun. And I'm not saying never do trends. And I'm not saying, you can even do them without the strategy piece behind it sometimes if you just want like a fun engagement reel. But I don't want you to end up wasting more time on content that doesn't actually help your business. That's my underlying like goal here with all of these. So I'm not saying never do it. I'm saying keep that in mind when you have expectations of how hopping on a trend is going to work for your account and your business. Last one, number 5, obsessing over hacks and vanity metrics. This is a big one. Hooks, algorithms, engagement hacks, those posts that say this one trick can get you however many followers or whatever. Again, these are not useless, but they're often over prioritized because it shifts your focus away from the thing that matters, which is your specific audience, right? You can use a strong hook. Love that. It can get attention. But if the rest of your content isn't, again, specific to your target audience and following their buyer journey, what does that mean for your business? How helpful was this post? So it's like the hook has to be strong, but it has to be strong in conjunction with all the other things. So these, again, are tactics that are helpful if you have the underlying strategy. I shared a post a couple weeks ago. It got, I think, 9 likes and maybe 1 comment, but it sold 2 content plans, and another person, I have set up a discovery call for another offer. So vanity metrics, focusing on that is not the goal. You can have bad vanity metrics and still get clients as long as you have that foundational underlying strategy that I have been talking about. So to recap real quick, number 1, posting every day. Number 2, emailing every day. Number 3, following generic content plans. Number 4, chasing trends. Number 5, obsessing over hacks and vanity metrics. So if you take anything from this episode, I hope it is that a lot of content advice spreads because it's easy to understand and it helps boost other people's accounts. But that does not mean it is universally true. The moment you add real context, which of course the internet hates, your business, your audience, your own strategy, your capacity, most of those rules start to fall apart. And it doesn't mean they're overall never going to work, but it's because they were not designed to be that universal in the first place. They were designed for those people who are chasing their own vanity metrics. And honestly, this is why year after year, I get more into the strategy side of things instead of general content advice and posting just for the algorithm. Because most people don't need more generic content ideas or hacks. You need someone to look at what you're already doing and tell you what's working and what to tweak so it can work even better. And that's what's missing. And that is exactly what my 60-minute strategy call and action plan is for. We go through your content, your messaging, your offers, your customer journey, and figure out where things are breaking down. And then you leave with a real clear plan, like pages of a plan and content ideas for you that you can implement easily. I have done 2 of these over the past week and a half, and we have already seen amazing results with the things that they are able to implement. One account was a new account, and she needed to figure out how to her specific audience to grow it, right? Because you don't want random followers if they're not actually going to buy for you. Like, what a waste. So we got really clear on that, mapped out some content for her, and she's already getting more followers and more engagement, even just after the week and a half, I think it's been. And like I said, because summer is coming, summer break is coming, kids are going to be out of school, routines and schedules are changing. I do have a limited number of spots for these. There's 4 that I can fit into my schedule right now. And then I probably won't open them up again until fall, or unless I get really sick of my kids and enroll them in another summer camp. So we'll see. But I will put the link for that strategy call in the show notes if you want someone to take a look at what you're doing and help you devise a plan that is specific to you and your business so you stop wasting time on content that isn't helping you get clients. So again, link in the show notes for that. That's all I have for you today. I really hope that this was helpful. And even if you don't get a strategy call with me, that you have some things to focus on, to think about when it comes to marketing so it doesn't feel super frustrating and overwhelming and like you're wasting all of your time on it. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me on Instagram. I am at sydneyobrien.co, and I would absolutely love to hear from you. I'll be back in your earbuds in 2 weeks with a new episode. Bye. Thanks for hanging out with me on From Content to Clients. If this episode helped you think differently about your content, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what's next. And if you're ready for content that's more strategic and less throw it together and hope for the best, head to sydneyobrien.com to learn more about working with me.